So this next episode of, what show is this called? Oh yeah, Pop Culture POV. That's Pop Culture Point of View. Ha 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 ha. I'm just being silly. This next episode of Pop Culture POV is really just looking back at a show, and not even the show itself, but just for a cast member that I think deserves another shot on the show. The great Kenya Moore was on Dancing with the Stars in the most recent season. And normally I would not go back and talk about the show, specifically because I'm not a big fan of some of the casting choices. I think rewarding Olivia, Lori Loughlin's daughter, does not make sense. I think the season before they had the cat lady from Tiger King. Like, I'm not really big on some of the choices they make for Dancing with the Stars. They always, it's a cast of like every single person is 20 something, and then there's like one or two older cast members, and old these days is 36. Like, it's not even back in the day. There'd be like a Florence Henderson. There'd be, just somebody who you're used to seeing them as an actress or an actor. Donny Osmond was one back in the day, although he has a performance background. But my point is, Dancing with the Stars hasn't been a show that I've been really excited to see, unfortunately, since Tyra Banks started hosting it, and the executive producer for that matter. I guess she's fun and unpredictable to a degree, but she's still, I don't know. Like, as I'll say it nicely, she was better as a host, not as good as Nick Cannon for America's Got Talent, but she was good on that show. I felt like that made sense. The Dancing with the Stars is not really working for me. But that's not even what we're talking about today. Really, I just want to talk about, because it happened so quickly. That's the only reason I'm going back. I'm just giving my reasons why Kenya Moore was fantastic on Dancing with the Stars. Now, she was voted out very early in regards to how good I think she was and the potential she was going to reach. And it was also a really poetic time for her life, in the regards of going through the, I'm not certain the aspect of whether she's divorced or whatever the case. A lot of that stuff Kenya Moore does showcase on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, which is why she's my favorite. Queen Kenya Moore, Team Twirl all day, But the bigger picture is I just wanted to stop down and do a pop culture POV, a point of view on why Kenya Moore was great and why she should come back. I don't know that this show specifically has people come back. I know that Brooke Burke was a contestant and she came back as a host or a guest host, and the same thing with Erin Andrews, which made a lot of sense for her specifically because she was a sports reporter, as was Brooke Burke. Brooke Burke, not sports reporter, but Brooke Burke she was a host for a In Excess, like finding another bandmate years ago, so she could have done the job, Anyways, I'm pitching this. Either Kenya Moore comes back to be a contestant again because she was just, I don't want to use the word robbed, but she was robbed of really having that big moment, 50 years old, she has a young daughter, the divorce, all the success on Real Housewives of Atlanta, of course, her pageant win years ago, and kind of like being up there with Tyra was even sort of a special thing. I'm not sure their exact friendship, but it was kind of nice to see. And I just thought she did so good. It was like this element of like, were the judges being extra hard on her? Now, I don't know about ballroom dance, but it just felt like all this potential. Now, a couple things to me and to everyone I know who loves Kenya Moore and loves her on The Ultimate Girls Trip, which is on Peacock Network, which is the Bravo offshoot for streaming. It seems like when people are like loving Kenya, they love her, but when they don't like her shenanigans, they don't like her. I just feel like I'm ready for Kenya to have more and more chances because she makes me so happy as a viewer. Like, I love what she does in the vein of reality TV. And I think if you're my age, being in the 90s and being like a high schooler in the 90s, Kenya Moore was a big moment. And it's a lot of times I'll talk with Real Housewives fans and they will say, well, she really ain't that special because such and such on the show also has 2 TV shows or this, that, and the other. But it was not as easy back in Kenya Moore's day to be on all these programs. You know what I mean? It was a very special and curated situation. Now virtually anyone could be famous for going viral, based on the way you eat your ice cream or something like that, or play hopscotch. Like, it's a lot going on. So Kenya Moore has a certain cachet that a lot of people don't seem to respect. I do. And I don't know. All I'm saying is I wish that, because I'm not going to I'm not going to sit in the negative of who's better or whatever. But on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, I'll say it like this. Here's a great way to say it. The season 1, when it came out, if it was a Sheba Sheree situation where Sheree was always the front runner and the lead, I would have been watching from the beginning. But when it was Nene Leakes, the show took a more boring turn. It wasn't as funny. So, anyways, who cares? Because this is not about talking bad about Nene Leakes. But the point is more so that I didn't like Real Housewives of Atlanta until season 5, when the Queen Kenya Moore stepped on that stage. So anyways, that's just a little bit of backstory of how I feel about Kenya Moore. I think she's so amazing. I'm a little bummed. Like I said, this is just a little bit of a recap. This is not like in the moment, like she got nominated, or not nominated, but eliminated. And I'm like going to Twitter immediately and saying, oh gosh, it was rigged. No, it's just thinking about some of the pop culture moments of 2021. To me, Kenya Moore on Dancing with the Stars was a vibe. I think that she did so good. She was so elegant. She was so beautiful. Her weight was on tip-top shape. She had the baby a couple years prior, and she had that natural body weight, which is wonderful, and she looked gorgeous as is. But she kind of like had this newfound love for herself, she shed the baby weight, but she also shed the drama with, who she had been dating prior, and just, she looked really good. And I really wanted a lot for her. Sometimes people come into the space and they just, their reputation sort of stays with them. And I really wanted for the mainstream audiences of A Dancing with the Stars to maybe like cut what they would perceive her as, you know what I mean? Like what they would previously assume, how and who she is really, how she acts and who she is. And I thought it was a great opportunity for that. Granted, she made it about 5 weeks, I believe it was, and it just wasn't enough for me. I mean, specifically, anyone who knows and loves Kenya Moore knows that they're waiting for that, Gone with the Wind fabulous moment. Like, you're waiting for it. So we didn't really have something of that nature. But I just thought her attitude was really good. Would have been really fun to see her in the final. And I liked everyone in the final, for what it's worth. But yeah, my only pitch right here, and again, it's like, who's even listening? But if you're Team Twirl, if you're Gone with the Wind fabulous, in the Kenya Moore hive, you would agree that maybe she could come back next season. They typically do not do that. So if they don't bring people back, I would say the only other thing is maybe and I don't know how this would work as far as her filming the TV show, but have her be the guest host. You know what I mean? Like, have her worked in with Tyra. I want so badly for Kenya Moore to continue to have so much success in Real Housewives of Atlanta, but I also want her to have a crossover mainstream appeal too, because I think she really is of the quality. This was just such a great opportunity to have like this big mass appeal and, people really connecting to her. And they did. I think they did. Those 5 episodes, she did wonderfully. She was really warm. As I stated, like there was the Ultimate Girls Trip, which was, Bravo's offshoot, which is Peacock Network. That one in specific, people were like, oh, I didn't realize how great Kenya Moore was. And so us, original Kenya Moore fans were like, oh no, she's always been amazing. She's just had to deal with some really weird personalities, as far as her castmates. So, this was just a quick pop culture POV stating that I feel that Kenya Moore should be casted on another season of Dancing with the Stars. It's probably not going to happen, but, we all have our voice and our opinion. So I'm going to put a nice opinion and a nice vocal expression as to, how I think she should get that opportunity, and or work her in some way, somehow, make her a guest host or something, but really keep her involved in a big show like that, Dancing with the Stars. That's what I say. But because this is a reality TV Bravo inspired conversation, being that Kenya Moore has had so many wonderful seasons on the Housewives, it kind of told me that I wanted to do a little bit of my own mental casting of who from Bravo, from the reality TV Bravo network, should go on Dancing with the Stars, or who Dancing with the Stars should be looking at. So first and foremost, I mean, it's specifically because she's sort of pitching it out herself. Tracy Tudor from Million Dollar Listing LA would be fantastic. She's obviously a first choice, but I think beyond that, Dorinda Medley. Dorinda Medley, I just, everything about her fashion I enjoy. And she has such a can-do attitude. And she had been off the Housewives and will be doing an Ultimate Girls Trip. So it just kind of makes sense, to weave her back in. And you just got to have these big personalities that play really well to a different audience. If you play well to a Bravo audience, you're not necessarily going to play well to ABC7 Dancing with the Stars audience, And people like Kenya could do it. People like Tracy Tudor could do it. People like Dorinda Medley could do it. And my other personal choice, two others, just because I like them in the Housewives franchises, are going to be, you guessed it, Giselle Bryant. Giselle Bryant is ready for that show. Yes, she is. Oh, yes, oh, yes. Don't cast Karen. Karen's okay, but Karen is not as compelling. She's not as swift. She's not as smart as Giselle. Giselle is funny. She's on the spot. Karen's really good because she recites and writes her lines the day before, and then she says them when the recording is happening and when they're filming, and it plays nice, but she's not witty. You know what I mean? She's just not witty. So Giselle, from the Real Housewives of Potomac, that's a choice for Dancing with the Stars. I totally feel like that's a great pick. And I think Kenya Moore would also be yeah, that's a really good pick. Or the great Melissa Gorga from Real Housewives of New Jersey, the J-Lo of Housewives. So anyways, this whole particular episode is about Kenya Moore and how great she is, and give flowers to Kenya Moore because she deserves them. Again, all of what she did back in her acting career when it wasn't as accessible to get all these roles. She did it back then. Sure, anyone could get a role now, or not a role, but anyone could get buzz now. That didn't work back in the day. I'm an 80s baby, but I grew up high school, junior high in the 90s. So I know the impact of a Kenya Moore. Kenya Moore was it. We're not going to let that slide. You put Kenya Moore up against a Portia Williams, and I am snoring when Portia Williams comes across the screen. She's just not interesting, at all. So in regards to Kenya Moore versus a Portia, that kind of a deal. But this, like I said, this recording was all about Kenya Moore. I think she should get another another Dancing with the Stars moment. And I stand by that. And hopefully she gets another season. And even if she doesn't get something specific with that show, maybe something else. Candy Burris, who's a cast member, also on Real Housewives of Atlanta, she did Big Brother. I guess what I'm basically saying is, let's continue to give flowers to Real Housewives of Atlanta's Kenya Moore and give more opportunity, because I want to see her flourish. I want her. Sometimes these really compelling on-camera reality TV cast members, they sort of become so pigeonholed, and it's just, it's frustrating. And obviously that's the nature of the job at hand, but I just want to see more for her. And seeing just a few episodes on Dancing with the Stars opened my heart. Not that I needed that. I was already so into her. But it opened my heart to be let's keep casting Kenya Moore on more and more shows. Put some respect on her name. And, Team Twirl. It is what it is. Anyways, this was a Pop Culture POV. Just wanted to sound off on a really fun 2020, what year is it? 2021 pop culture moment, which is the Queen Kenya Moore and her Dancing with the Stars experience, which was short-lived. But something tells me more and more amazing opportunities will come to her. And anyone who follows my platform, be it RandomlyRonnieJr.com or my Patreon, patreon.com/RandomlyRonnieJr, we all are part of that Team Kenya Moore kind of vibe. So it's all Gone with the Wind fabulous around these parts. This has been Pop Culture POV, Pop Culture Point of View. Until the next time, talk to you later. Bye.